It's almost every boy's dream to do what so very few have done. Ronaldo, Zidane, Iniesta, Rossi, Völler, Materazzi, Pogba, Mbappe and Goetze. All of these football players have one thing in common: scoring in the World Cup final.
Zidane! Who looks for Iniesta, who's onside! Aimed in for Goetze! Mbappe now, Mbappe!
The World Cup, where all rivalries throughout the leagues are forgotten for a month, and half the world has their eyes on it and wants their nation's top 11 to lift the Coupe du Monde. Right now, the 22nd World Cup is underway, yet how much do we know about the World Cup really? What happened during the first ever World Cup final, or in which game did two teams score 2 hat-tricks? Welcome to Would You Believe This? When did the first FIFA World Cup take place? The first FIFA World Cup took place in the summer of 1930 in Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay, which is located in the southeast of South America. This World Cup was the only World Cup which did not require any qualification and was only attendable through a personalized invite. Many countries accepted, yet many European teams denied due to the expensive and long trip across the Atlantic Ocean, although the British had rejected as they had resigned from the FIFA at the time, leading to only 13 teams from across the globe to take part. The teams set off on boats and arrived in Montevideo to play across 3 stadiums, with capacities from 10,000 to 20,000 to a staggering 90,000. The group stages were played in a round-robin format, leading to only one nation qualifying directly for the semi-finals, where the United States had a bloody face-off against Argentina. Although the United States had 6 British-born players on their side, they were 10 minutes in with a broken leg, and once the final whistle blew, Argentina was heading into the final with a confident 6-1 performance. Yugoslavia faced the host Uruguay in the other semi-final and went 1-0 up shortly after kickoff. The Uruguayans did not lose their cool though and made a remarkable yet comfortable comeback to cruise into the final, thrashing Yugoslavia 6-1. On the 30th of July 1930, Uruguay faced Argentina in the final. Kickoff was set at 2 PM, yet the gates to the stadium had already opened at 8 AM, and before midday, the stadium was already completely packed. More issues arose before the game could even get started, not considering the amount of death threats to the referees and players. There were many controversies about which ball the final would be played with. After much back and forth, FIFA ruled that the first half would be played with the official Argentine football and the second half would be played with the Uruguayan. Prior to the game as well, referee John Langenus had assured his safety by requesting a boat to be ready at the harbour within 1 hour after the final whistle if a quick escape was needed. In the end, Uruguay ended up winning 4-2 and lifted the first ever FIFA World Cup. The following day was a national holiday in Uruguay, with celebrations all over the country, while meanwhile in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, a mob turned up to the Uruguayan consulate to bombard them with stones. Which game had the biggest crowd attendance ever in FIFA World Cup history? In the first World Cup after World War II, Uruguay faced the hosts of the 1950 World Cup in the final, Brazil. Although people claim that these stats may be slightly skewed, some pictures don't lie. The official recorded attendance of the final was a total of 199,854 in the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. As for the result, Brazil's confidence was high, with a World Cup song prepared to be played at full time and 22 gold medals prepared with each player's name inscribed. However, Uruguay snatched it away from the host in the 79th minute, lifting the World Cup for the second time ever and leaving the country of Brazil distraught, in disbelief, and the medals never to see daylight again and a song never to be heard. What was the highest scoring FIFA World Cup game? Switzerland, the host of the 1954 World Cup, faced off against their neighbours Austria in the renowned Hitzeschlacht von Lausanne, which means the Hot Battle of Lausanne, as the game was played in 40 degrees Celsius heat and due to its high scoreboard. The quarter-final game included hat-tricks from both sides, yet after the final whistle, and probably a few heat strokes, Austria had beaten Switzerland 7-5 and knocked the hosts out of the competition. What makes this record even better is that they had just beaten the previous record, which was set just 6 days earlier when Hungary gave West Germany an 8-3 spanking. Which player has scored the most goals in the FIFA World Cup? Now, if you know the answer to this question, you're a certified baller. No, it's not Ronaldo, Messi, Pele or Maradona, it actually is Miroslav Klose. Klose played for Germany at 4 World Cups, with a total of 24 games and hitting the back of the net a whopping 16 times. Klose debuted for Germany in 2002 and netted a hat-trick against Saudi Arabia in his first game. He continued his form by scoring in all his games in the group stages in 2002 and added an additional 5 goals while his nation hosted the World Cup 4 years later. In the 2010 World Cup, he tied the record with Ronaldo, scoring his 15th World Cup goal and finally bagging his 16th in the Belo Horizonte, where Germany, famously or infamously, massacred Brazil 7-1. Is the FIFA World Cup the biggest sporting event in the world? Many people who are not interested in the world of football may say that the Super Bowl has a bigger viewership, but trust me, they are very wrong. Keeping the story of the first World Cup in mind and the absolute passion football holds in so many hearts around the world, the FIFA World Cup is the most worldwide watched sporting event. For the latest figures, we can go back to 2018, where the Russia World Cup was watched by over 3.57 billion people. That is nearly half of the world's population. The 2018 final, where France won 4-2 against Croatia, with 78,000 people in attendance in Moscow, had a live viewer coverage of 1.12 billion people. And that's just live. To close this debate, over all 64 games played throughout the tournament, each game had an average live audience of 191 million people. Why is the Qatar World Cup so controversial? Since Qatar was elected as the host of the World Cup 2022 in 2010, there have been allegations of corruption, bribery and human slavery. The first allegation was in 2011, where a possible email had stated that Qatar had possibly bought the World Cup and faced allegations that African officials were paid $1.5 million by Qatar. In 2014, there were more allegations of bribery and apparent proof that $5 million had been paid to football officials to support the Qatar bid. In 2020, those stakes rose to $100 million, where an apparent secret deal was made by Al Jazeera, now beIN Sports, to bring the World Cup to Qatar. And this is just the top of the iceberg. Qatar had used migrant workers to build and create all the new stadiums and cities to host the World Cup and the 32 teams that would be arriving. During this process, an estimated 6,500 migrant workers have died, mostly coming from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. The real death toll is to be considered even higher, and the labour rights of the workers were ignored. For more information, I suggest you watch these videos here, where you will find more details and where the reporters came face to face with the migrant workers themselves. Is it coming home? This World Cup has everything. The first few games have kicked off already and the atmosphere and the tension is high. We all want our country to bring the World Cup home, although some of them may just be happy to be there. The World Cup is one of those events that brings everyone together and is one of those things that unites strangers and creates friendships and relationships and brings out the best in you as well as the worst. The emotions will be all over the place and I can't wait to see who lifts the World Cup for the 22nd time. Comment down below and let me know who you think is going to win this year's World Cup. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you learned anything new today or just liked the video in general, please leave a like. And if you wish to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe.